Ladies and gentlemen, you need to listen to this video. This video is very indicative of something that is very important to me and at the core of my belly. Like, it is so wonderful to hear this news, and I'm sure the thumbnail probably already gave it away or whatever. But Stefan Hill and Jamie Walker are starting their studio. And this is not even the news. The news is actually the fact that it's already been, registered for a minute now. So not as if this gentleman basically kind of just, took 3 years off. They're getting right into it. And it is a studio that's consisting of 100 industry veterans and emerging talents. So it's a studio that's only going to have 100 people. That's it. 100 stars. They seem to be committed to only able to hire 100 people or wanting to hire 100 people and going from there. So there's a news article on Polygon. I would recommend that you read it. And shout out to Suicide Squad Game Picks for tagging me on this video. I really appreciate you putting this news in front of me, because this is actually, pretty splendid. Now, the reason I said this is at the core of my belly is, number one, I've been saying to, the community, like, guys, the single player games are not going anywhere. They're a thing and they're here to stay. If I had the opportunity to make a video game, it'll be a single player game. If I had the opportunity to make a second video game, it'll be a single player game. The markets and the suits, they have the big money to be able to present to you the big, most glamorous, most flashy single player games. And so they hold the creatives hostage for the most part to make live service games out of the single player games, or at least turn the money to possibly bring in profits. They're not really too concerned about how the audiences and how the communities basically, adopt these games. This also probably leads me to believe that Rocksteady may be a different Rocksteady than we know. So remember in my last video, I told you guys, I said my big concern for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, even if it's a game I want to play, is how those developers are going to support the game, and the fact that Rocksteady might now become a live service studio. If you become a live service studio, you have to plan very deliberately to break out of it. They can break out of it, no problem. But that's a whole nother, set of years. And if you read this article, it is quite indicative that some of these, Rocksteady staff are leaving and joining unannounced studio. Look at this. It appears that 100 Star Games founders are bringing some of their colleagues from Rocksteady with them. A handful of lead developers and director-level ex-Rocksteady employees have left the Batman Arkham studio in recent months to join an unannounced studio, according to LinkedIn profiles Polygon has reviewed. So something is going on, and exactly this. My mom used to say something. She used to say, whenever you're working in someone else's, ranch, make sure you have your little garden growing at the back of your house so that if things don't pan out, you have something to fall back on. I think over the course of the making of this Suicide Squad game, these folk at this studio probably looked and said, hey, man, this is going to be probably, our last, stunt here. Why don't we just, eat rice and beans and rice and save every single pound? Yes, pound, isn't it in Britain, right? And let's maybe start something down the road. So these gentlemen, I don't know how it went about. I'm just saying. But at least they had a plan. They had a game plan when all of this probably got, moved away from them. I wish that the creatives that we have today would continue to think like the suits, but still maintain their creative passion, drive, and care and concern, so that they're not held hostage by the people who are making the money decisions when it's time to actually make a game, right? So again, even though Stefan Hill said in his video that they were excited to make this game, I think it was a compromise. I think they wanted to make a specific kind of Suicide Squad game, because this game got taken away from, well, not this game, but the Suicide Squad game, one of them, a different kind, I don't know if it's the same, got canceled at WB Montreal, right? And so it goes without saying that, I'm really excited that this is a thing that's going on right now in the industry, and I'm hoping that more, like I said, creatives can start looking at what it could be in the future, because my guess is back in the day when Stefan Hill and, Jamie were making these games, they probably had a lot of friends, in Warner Media, with their games division, and they were allowed to do a lot of really cool stuff. Like if you watch their video about the, Arkham Knight, their 2014 interview or so, I think is maybe 14 or 15, where they were talking about how, they were so grateful that Warner gave them extra time to work on the Batmobile. Like this, many of you don't realize how hard it is putting a character like this in a game is. Many of you don't. The Batmobile is a character. It is a player character by itself, and it is a counterpart character that is capable of doing some really crazy stuff. So any developer that gets the extra time to pull off something like this is more than likely going to be really excited, because it is now stamped and sealed. And it's a game that has a DRM-free version. You can play the best version of it on PC, even if the consoles are probably dragging their feet with the publishers not wanting to do anything. You can still get a really solid version of a game like this. You can still mod it. You can still enjoy and go back and play it over and over again, right? So these are really cool, and I'm hoping that Stephen Hill and Jamie Walker and a lot of the creatives and those who are going continue to pass down their creative drive to the generation of developers that are coming down the road. Because if this is not preserved, I fear that, what's going to happen is Corpo is going to take a larger control. And instead of us getting some really cool stuff, we're going to be in a really weird place. The reason I'm optimistic is because I'm counting the numbers. Single player games are still making enough money to still keep corporations guessing. And that's good. Hogwarts Legacy took the cake in terms of highest game sales last year, and we're more than likely going to be getting another one coming very soon. I mean, it's without a doubt. Yes, the churning machines of live service games are going to be there, and the reason I stopped being against them is I started looking at the business side. They do pay for live service games. They actually do. There are a few 100% live service studios that are making that kind of bank, that are not putting the money into some coffers of single player games, either directly or indirectly. Case in point, PlayStation. Where do you think they get all that investment to make those $200 million games? The simple answer is they're raking in $800 million a year from Call of Duty. They've been raking that amount for the last few years, or maybe even more, maybe less, including FIFA money and Fortnite money and possibly Minecraft money. All of these funds that are coming from these big games, they're funding the single player games. So you can't be really mad at the whole setup. You just have to go with exactly what it is that you get. So for those of you who are saying, Rocksteady, this is the Rocksteady that we want, or whatever it is, all you're now saying is, okay, what kind of game is Rocksteady going to be making next? I'm hoping it's an original IP. I don't want them to actually be constrained by the DC thing, because the DC thing, it's kind of a nice setup that came from back in the day. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill and all of them that were able to come together and do some really solid voiceovers. It probably took the weight of Warner to be able to get them into the gaming studios, right? But now to be able to get actors of that caliber is probably going to be rough. So if they created a new IP, there would be no constraints to use, characters of that. Actors of that, weight to be able to, push their game. They can start afresh and do something cool. And if they were to make a DC game, maybe if Warner Brothers says, hey guys, how about a DC game? Don't pay any license fee, and are now looking and saying, man, these guys might be able to kind of push us over the edge, then fine. Nothing wrong with that. I vote Black Canary. Who votes with me? Thanks for watching. Join the Discord. Link in the description. Appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.